again found itself at the heart of a heated election controversy. This time, it involves a manipulated video targeting Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. Raffensperger, a Republican, has been a vocal defender of the integrity of Georgia's elections. He famously resisted pressure from Donald Trump to overturn the 2020 election results. The recent video, which quickly went viral, was digitally altered to make it appear as if Raffensperger was admitting to election fraud. Raffensperger's office immediately denounced the video as fake news and a deliberate attempt to undermine voter confidence. Law enforcement agencies are currently investigating the source of the video. This incident underscores the growing threat of disinformation in the lead-up to the 2024 presidential election. False and misleading information, often spread through social media, has the potential to sow chaos and confusion among voters. It also highlights the importance of relying on credible sources of information and fact-checking before sharing anything online. Raffensperger's experience serves as a stark reminder that election officials across the country are facing unprecedented pressure and scrutiny. As the nation prepares for another contentious election, it is crucial to protect the integrity of the democratic process and ensure that all eligible votes are counted fairly and accurately. The 2024 U.S. presidential election is shaping up to be one of the most closely watched and fiercely contested in recent history. The stakes are incredibly high, and the nation is on edge as the day of decision approaches. The latest polls show incumbent President Kamala Harris locked in a virtual dead heat with her Republican challenger, former President Donald Trump. This tight race has captivated the attention of both national and international audiences. With just a few weeks until Election Day, both candidates are pulling out all the stops in their bid for the White House. Their campaigns are intensifying, with each side ramping up their efforts to secure every possible vote. Harris, who made history as the first female vice president, is campaigning on a platform of experience and stability. She is presenting herself as a steady hand capable of guiding the nation through turbulent times. She is emphasizing her record on issues such as the economy, healthcare, and climate change. Her administration's achievements in these areas are central to her re-election message. Trump, meanwhile, is attempting to recapture the magic of his 2016 victory by appealing to his base of supporters with his signature populist rhetoric. He is focusing on themes of economic revival, national security, and a return to what he calls American greatness. The race is particularly close in key battleground states such as Pennsylvania, where both candidates have been making frequent visits and holding large rallies to energize their supporters, Michigan and Wisconsin. These states are seeing a flurry of campaign activity, with both sides deploying significant resources to sway voters. These states, which were pivotal in Trump's 2016 win, are once again expected to play a decisive role in determining the outcome of the election. The memories of that unexpected victory still linger, adding an extra layer of intensity to the current race. Both campaigns are pouring resources into these states in an effort to sway undecided voters. Volunteers are canvassing neighborhoods, phone banks are operating around the clock, and advertisements are flooding the airwaves. As the race enters its final stretch, the stakes could not be higher. The clock is ticking, and every moment counts as both sides make their final push. The outcome of the election will have far-reaching consequences for the United States and the world, determining the direction of the country on issues ranging from domestic policy to foreign affairs. The world watches with bated breath, aware that the decision made by American voters will resonate globally. The election is not just a choice between two candidates, but a decision that will shape the future of the nation and its role on the world stage. The anticipation is palpable, and the final verdict will be a defining moment in history. The 2024 U.S. presidential election heats up. There is growing concern about the potential for foreign interference, particularly from Russia. The stakes are incredibly high, and the integrity of the democratic process is paramount. The specter of 2016, when Russia interfered in the U.S. election to sow discord and undermine confidence in the democratic process, looms large over the current race. The methods used back then were sophisticated and multifaceted, involving cyber attacks, social media manipulation, and strategic leaks of information. U.S. intelligence agencies have warned that Russia is actively seeking to interfere in the 2024 election as well, using a variety of tactics, such as spreading disinformation online, hacking into campaign systems, and even attempting to influence voter behavior through targeted ads and fake news, and engaging in voter suppression efforts. These tactics are designed to create confusion and mistrust among voters, potentially leading to lower voter turnout and a more divided electorate. The goal, they say, is to sow chaos and division within the United States and to undermine faith in American democracy. By exploiting existing social and political tensions, foreign actors aim to weaken the nation's unity and disrupt the electoral process. The Biden administration has vowed to take a tough stance against any foreign interference in the election. President Biden has emphasized the importance of safeguarding the democratic process and has called for a united front to counter these threats. They have imposed sanctions on Russia and other countries accused of meddling in U.S. elections and have promised to retaliate swiftly and decisively against any attempts to interfere in the 2024 vote. These measures include economic sanctions, diplomatic actions, and potential cyber countermeasures. Social media companies are also under pressure to do more to combat the spread of disinformation on their platforms. The role of social media in shaping public opinion has never been more critical, and these companies are being scrutinized for their handling of false information. They have been criticized for not doing enough to prevent the spread of false and misleading information, which can have a significant impact on elections. The challenge lies in balancing the need for free speech with the necessity of preventing harmful disinformation. In response, they have pledged to increase their efforts to identify and remove fake accounts, enhance their algorithms to detect suspicious activity, and collaborate with government agencies to ensure a coordinated response, and to flag suspicious content. Fact-checking initiatives have been ramped up and new tools are being developed to help users discern credible information from falsehoods. The fight against disinformation is ongoing, and the outcome of the 2024 election may very well depend on these efforts. Echoes of the past, recalling Russia's actions in the Trump era. The shadow of Russian interference in U.S. elections stretches back beyond 2016. The allegations of meddling in the democratic process were not new, but they took on a new intensity and urgency during the Trump era. During Donald Trump's presidency, the relationship between the United States and Russia was particularly fraught, marked by accusations of collusion, sanctions, and diplomatic expulsions. The political landscape was dominated by a sense of mistrust and uncertainty, with each new revelation adding fuel to the fire. Russia's actions on the world stage, including its annexation of Crimea and its support for the Syrian regime, further strained relations. These moves were seen as aggressive and destabilizing, prompting a strong response from the international community. The Mueller investigation, a special counsel investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election, cast a long shadow over Trump's presidency. The investigation was a focal point of political discourse, with its findings eagerly anticipated by both supporters and critics of the president. While the investigation did not establish a criminal conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia, it did find that Russia interfered in the election in a sweeping and systematic fashion. This conclusion underscored the seriousness of the threat posed by foreign interference in American democracy. Trump's own approach to Russia and its leader Vladimir Putin was often contradictory and confusing. His public statements frequently seemed at odds with the actions of his administration, creating a sense of unpredictability. He frequently praised Putin and downplayed Russia's interference in the 2016 election, even as his own intelligence officials warned of the ongoing threat. This disconnect between rhetoric and reality was a source of ongoing controversy. This apparent affinity for Putin puzzled many observers and fueled suspicions about Trump's ties to Russia. The president's behavior was scrutinized and debated, with many questioning the motivations behind his actions. Despite the controversies, Trump also took some tough actions against Russia during his presidency. These actions included imposing sanctions and taking steps to counter Russian aggression. He expelled Russian diplomats, imposed sanctions, and authorized the sale of lethal weapons to Ukraine. These measures were seen as a strong stance against Russian interference and aggression. However, his seemingly contradictory approach to Russia left many questioning his true stance on the Kremlin and its actions. The mixed signals sent by the Trump administration created a complex and often confusing picture of U.S.-Russia relations during this tumultuous period. The debates in Congress and the media about Russian interference and Trump's response to it were intense and often polarized. Lawmakers and analysts were divided on how best to address the threat and what it meant for the future of American democracy. Public reaction to the Russia-related controversies was also significant, with protests and demonstrations reflecting the deep divisions within American society. the issue of Russian interference became a symbol of broader concerns about the integrity of the democratic process. The Trump era's challenges with Russia were part of a long and complex history of U.S.-Russia relations. Each administration has had to navigate this difficult and often contentious relationship, balancing the need for cooperation with the imperative of standing up to aggression. As we look back on the Trump era, the echoes of Russia's actions and the responses they provoked continue to resonate. The lessons learned during this time will shape the future of U.S. foreign policy and the ongoing effort to protect the integrity of American democracy. Biden's tough stance, a legacy of pressure on the Kremlin. President Biden entered office vowing to take a tougher stance on Russia than his predecessor. He has condemned Russia's human rights abuses, its interference in democratic elections, and its aggressive actions in Ukraine. He has also imposed new sanctions on Russia and expelled Russian diplomats in response to these actions. Biden has sought to rally U.S. allies to present a united front against Russia. He has worked to strengthen NATO and to coordinate sanctions and other measures with European partners. This coordinated approach is designed to increase the pressure on Russia and to deter further aggression. The Biden administration has also focused on countering Russian disinformation and propaganda. They have increased funding for initiatives to promote media literacy and to counter false narratives spread by Russian state-sponsored outlets. They have also engaged in diplomatic efforts to expose and counter Russian disinformation campaigns. While Biden's approach to Russia has been more confrontational than Trump's, it remains to be seen how effective it will be in changing Russia's behavior. Russia has shown no signs of backing down from its aggressive actions, and relations between the two countries